I want to set expectations clearly, especially because the expectation is this content will be on YouTube and on in the collab group for indefinitely, evergreen. And for someone who's watching this training at some time in the future, I want to be clear what today is and what today is not. So if someone's listening to this training and you're here because you have scripts that aren't landing with the audience, they're not converting. If you have funnels that look right in theory or the way they're designed or the pictures are all correct and it's all laid out right and the emotional appeal is right, but it doesn't seem to convert. Or if you've been told from sales training, oh, it's just a numbers game, but something about it's just a numbers game doesn't sit right. And you're always told, oh, you're just one more no away from a yes. And but if you're always just one more no away from a yes, at what point are you seeing a pattern of no's? So if you're here because your scripts aren't landing, if your funnels seem to be correct, but they aren't converting, if you've been told by the sales training it's a numbers game, always be closing, but it isn't quite working, that's what this session is for. This session is for you. What this session is not is a tactics class. I'm not going to demonstrate software. I'm not handing out scripts. I'm not offering a hack. I'm not even promoting the perfect AI prompt. I'm not promising a shortcut. This session exists because much of the frustration people feel with marketing right now doesn't come from bad tools or bad advice. All of that advice, all of those scripts, all of those prompts are correct in the right setting. The problem is coming because people are causing frustration because they've skipped a thinking step. They've taken someone else's script or prompt or funnel and they've applied it to their audience without thinking through the process of how do I apply it to my audience. We live in a moment where AI can create words instantly. Funnels can be spun up in an afternoon. Automations can send messages at scale. And none of those tools solves the problem of clarity. When clarity is missing, speed becomes dangerous. Confusion will feel like motion, but it is often motion in the wrong directions, and you don't even know why. Clarity will create the progress that matters for your unique situation. So today, what we're going to do is walk through the 9-point marketing plan, not as a checklist to complete or as a framework to memorize, although I have it fairly well memorized, but to use it as a framework for thinking about how marketing systems are supposed to work together. The goal isn't to do more marketing. The goal isn't to be louder. The goal isn't to say more, even to the right people. The goal is to stop paying for mistakes later because we rush through the fundamentals now. So if you're going to sit here and wait for the moment when I say, here's the script, that's not coming today. But if you want to understand why certain things haven't been working and how to avoid those same problems with new tools that you happen to use in the future, you are in the right place. Thanks, Melissa. I appreciate the confirmation, confirmation. Now, if I share my screen, you can see what I'm talking about. There we go. So What we're going to talk about today is how you achieve the clarity that will create the progress you need instead of spinning your wheels chasing the perfect script, spinning your wheels trying to format the perfect funnel page when you're copying someone else's plan and it's not actually correct for you. People don't skip steps because they're incompetent. They don't skip steps because they're lazy. They don't skip steps because they don't know that they need to do these things. They skip the steps because they want to achieve progress. They want to have things start happening. What I'm presenting, what I'm arguing, the case that I'm making is sequencing matters in how you think about your marketing system. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about the 9-point marketing plan as a framework, and we're going to thank Alan Dibb for the book, One Page Marketing Plan, where it is the framework, the model comes from. And we're going to talk about for a solopreneur, a freelancer, a solo consultant, a mom and pop shop that doesn't have time, energy, or need for a 27-page MBA quality marketing plan. You don't need to go hire a marketing consultant with an MBA to figure out how to do your marketing when you don't have 6 different teams doing different parts of the marketing. All the marketing happens inside your head. You just need a clear framework of how to think about the different components of your marketing so that you don't overemphasize one and skip another. That framework is what the 9-point marketing plan, Alan Dibb's one-page marketing plan, gives us. We're also going to talk, though, about what it is not, what it doesn't solve for you, and how to not use it. And then we're going to conclude by addressing the fact that people often skip the steps, and it's not because they don't want to do the steps, it's because they're trying to get to the place of action. So here is the marketing plan, the framework. And what so often is skipped is the before actions. We want to get a shortcut, and so we take someone else's script and we use that script as a shortcut for the before. I'm going to work backwards in the chart because those before steps are really the ones that drive this result and are the most glaringly obvious when you miss them. So after the sale happens, in the fulfillment of the service phase, point 9 of the 9-point marketing plan is referrals, testimonials, reviews. It's when someone has a good experience getting our service, how do they feel about turning around and promoting us, acknowledging us to the rest of their family, friends, associates, their business circles? Those referrals are how we generate sustained business growth without continuing to throw dollars at an advertising campaign. If we don't know, so there's a saying from marketing management theory attributed to Stephen Covey, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's a different person, but begin with the end in mind. If we look at the entire marketing system from how am I generating referrals, what do I expect the people who write reviews about me to say, that allows us to backwards plan through these other 8 steps. What is this going to look like when we get there? The lifetime value of the customer is the idea that the person most likely to pay you to do something is someone who already has paid you to do a thing. So that lifetime value component of the 9-point marketing plan is once someone is in your sphere of influence and has started paying you for something, do you have a path for either an ongoing subscription or for periodic re-engagements? Maybe you're a consultant or a web developer, and you do quarterly or semi-annual or annual refreshes. Um, Sometimes the major value of the customer is an ongoing subscription that has low initial cash flow to you, but because the churn rate is very low, the expectation is your gross income from this person is going to be very high. Other times we front load the income, knowing that the customer is going to churn, we're going to lose the customer, they're going to go to someone else, and we're trying to front load our income. Um, both of those all of those different ways of structuring our cash flow are totally valid. We just need to think when we generate our offer to our audience, we need to know. um yeah, I need to leave this on in case Willie does come off mute and ask me a question. um we need to know what our expectations are, um so that we make that offer in a way that makes the recurring or periodic subsequent engagements make sense. The customer experience is the idea that, and I'm probably anyway, um, after they've purchased the thing, how they feel about your business is directly related to that first onboarding process. The initial period, as the honeymoon, the anticipation of why I purchased this product turns into either measurable results or measurable successes or measurable failures. Um, and if we don't have those three parts of the fulfillment process in mind when we start talking to the audience, one of the problems people have sometimes is they'll be promoting to an audience because that they think that audience is a high ticket, high value audience. But they're not actually positioned to serve that audience well. That audience has an expectation that's unrealistic for this particular entity who is a new start in the feast or famine stage. That's who the primary target of most of our training is. Isn't prepared to provide the level of service. It's okay. It's just if you're targeting the audience that has an expectation and then you're unable to fulfill that expectation, now you create negative lifetime value. During the marketing process, lead capture, lead nurture, and the sales process. The sales, that's all part of the sales cycle, but the sales close, maybe a better term for point six would be lead close, is from the point that the person has made up their mind they're going to purchase this thing. What is the process that happens that turns that person's decision into cash in your door and an agreement from you to them of what you're going to provide that is greater in value than the dollars that they provided, that they exchanged for whatever value you're giving them? What is that process? And again, if you have a great offer, but there's no clear process for how they raise their hand and onboard, initiate, engage with that offer, then how well your offer is structured isn't going to actually solve the problem. Again, the issue we're talking about today is when you skip these steps, it has downstream results in the sequence. And I'm working backwards because we're trying to resolve why they're in the sequence that they're in. Lead nurture is from the time You've taken someone out of the whole audience and they've raised their hand. We're going to talk about lead capture in just a moment. Lead nurture is what is that series of conversations that keep you top of mind with them, give them the level of confidence that they trust you, that they're willing to engage with your offer and purchase your offer. Um, Again, if you're if the people that are raising their hand and saying, send me more information about your offer, are people who aren't the right audience for you, you're having these ongoing conversations that are consuming their time and your time and are never going to turn into a sale. If you're having a conversation with the right person, but your offer is not the right offer for that person, you're having these ongoing conversations. It's consuming your time, it's consuming their time, and it's never going to turn into a sale. Lead capture is as you start your marketing effort, whatever that looks like, and we'll talk about channels in just a moment. Lead capture is we're marketing to a niche audience with a unique offer to solve a particular problem that audience has. But we're talking to the entirety of the audience. Now, if you're this solopreneur, freelancer, GHLVA, mom and pop local shop, you might not need an audience of I just saw a post that said you don't need an audience of 1 million followers. You need 1,000 people who would buy your thing. I would argue that a lot of us don't even need 1,000 people that will buy our thing. A lot of us, we need 10 or 20, maybe 40. If we have 100, we're doing fantastic. That's as far into the world of scaling as we need. And if we only need 100 customers, 1,000 raving fans is way better than 1 million unengaged followers. So how do you find the raving fans? Whether it's 100 raving fans, whether it's 1,000 raving fans, whether it's 15, depending on the situation, any of those numbers might be sufficient. How do you get, when you start marketing, how do you get 15 or 150 or 1,500 to raise their hand and say, I need more information from you? And when they do raise their hand, is there a process that allows them to do so in a way that you collect their contact information and are able to move them into step 5, the lead nurture? The chart is actually really interesting because it's not intentionally putting lead nurture in the middle of the frame, but that's where it ends up being. It is the centerpiece of developing know, like, and trust. The channels is the concept that even if you have the right message and you know who the niche audience is, if you don't have a way of reaching that niche audience, it doesn't matter how good your you can have the perfect solution to a high-end consultant's problem, but if they're not listening to your emails, your social media, your YouTube channel, you're talking continuously and they'll never hear you. So the key to the channels, this is again sequencing, knowing who you're talking to. The next question about who you're talking to is, well, there's what their problem is, where are they listening? So we need to put the message in a channel that they're likely to listen so that they have a chance to see it and then raise their hand and move into the lead capture. Again, these steps, these 9 points are sequential steps. If we don't have one in place, then it has cascading effects. If we don't have 2 in place, it has cascading effects. The offer is knowing what your niche problem is that you're solving and the language that your audience uses to describe that problem, so that when they see that problem or see that problem described, or hear that problem described, they say, yes, that's me. And this is where I also say often, you want your funnel to be leaky. You don't want everybody that sees your offer to raise their hand and jump into your lead capture, because not everyone is your customer. Even someone who's in your niche audience and has the problem that you solve, some of them already know who they're going to get to solve it. And if you spend a lot of time talking to them, all you're doing is reinforcing to them why they need the solution from the other person. You're helping the other person sell. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's a lot of my methodology. But I'm in a unique place and it works for my business, and it probably wouldn't work for your business to be pushing your audience to other providers. You want your offer to resonate with the people who are going to be willing to have a no like trust conversation with you. And then the audience at the macro level is anybody that has this particular problem. But if you are trying to talk to everybody, you don't touch anyone enough times for them to get to the no like trust. So even if 150 marketing agencies might fit your ideal client profile, if you can have serious long-term engaging relationships, conversations with 15 of them, you're much more likely to turn those 15 into sales than the other 135 who are hearing the same message from 15 other people as at the same time. Okay, so that is what the 9-point marketing plan is and why the sequencing of 1 through 9 does matter. What we're not doing today is talking about how it applies in any particular business. We're orienting, this is orientation level, to talk about the fact that it is a sequence and that skipping ahead is a common behavior, but it's also very costly. So, what the 9-point marketing plan is. For the purpose of this discussion, it's a thinking framework. It is a way of understanding what you're trying to do. When you are building a landing page as part of your sales funnel, when you're writing an email as part of your sales funnel, when you're selecting the scripts that you're going to use in DMs to follow up once somebody engages with your content, when you're in the step 4, the 9-point marketing plan is a framework for where does these things that I'm building fit in my system. The 9-point marketing plan is a framework to help you understand. It's a mirror to hold up, to look at yourself and say, am I communicating the idea that I need to the audience that I want? The framework allows you to assess whether the script you're using, and whether that's a DM script, whether it's a phone sales script, whether it's a script on a video sales letter, whether it's a script, whether you're using the word script really mean the content of a blog or a social media post, whatever set of text you're using in whatever channel you're transmitting it, people are trying to communicate they're taking a shortcut through the befores, steps 1, 2, and 3, to try to get to step 6, and they're using the wrong message to the wrong audience. They're rushing to communicate when it's not clear who they're trying to communicate to and what message they're trying to communicate to those people. Speed is not a bad thing inherently. Um, there's a lot of, we talk about the speed of business. We talk about the uh, speed to lead. We talk speed is not a bad thing, but the 9 point marketing plan is designed to slow you down in the place where speed is dangerous. The 9 point marketing plan is designed to slow you down and help you think about what you're doing in the place where speed is dangerous. The reason scripts and funnels are failing is because the thinking step didn't happen upstream of when that funnel page was published on a URL. The thinking stage didn't happen upstream of when you dropped 1,500 people into an email nurturing sequence. And speed is accelerating in our world. AI is enabling us to do more faster. But when confusion exists, AI accelerates confusion. It doesn't bring clarity to the confusion. It amplifies confusion. It doesn't clarify. It will allow you to communicate noise at scale. Most marketing problems don't start with an error in the messaging. They start, the problem starts because someone skipped the time of doing the thinking and planning about why we're doing what we're trying to do. Marketing systems, marketing problems with marketing systems don't start with messaging. Problems in marketing systems start when people skip the thinking step. What a marketing plan is not. Item D. What a marketing plan is not. It's not a checklist. It's not a software. It's not a funnel step. And it's not something that you complete. It's not a set it and forget it, one and done kind of, I got to just move through this step of my business journey. Many times business plans get treated that way. They're conceptual. They kind of make sense on paper. You take them to the bank to get a loan based on them, but then they really don't ever get it. What actually happens in the real world never really reflects what's in the business plan. Similarly, if you take out of your business plan, your marketing plan, your 9 point marketing plan, and you work through it one time and then you ignore it and never pay attention to it again, you're missing the value of the tool. The framework is designed to help you hold up a mirror and say, what am I trying to do? Who am I trying to do it for? How do I describe it to that person? How do I get that message to that person? What happens when people say, I'm going to borrow a script from some expert, somebody who's gone ahead of me. I'm going to just model whatever they did because it worked for them instead of having to think through steps 1, 2, and 3. That's what borrowing scripts, copying, hacking funnels, that's what it is doing. It's skipping steps 1, 2, and 3 and just getting to try to jump to the action. And we don't come to the conversation with the authority that person has. Frank Kern can say, Hey, I posted this script into a public Facebook group and I got these 5 sales. Dude, you ain't Frank Kern. He's not being disingenuous. He's not lying to you. That's in fact what happened. But he comes to that equation with experience and authority that you don't have, that I don't have. There was a conversation that happened in the high levels official Facebook group, and one of the big I'll name him by name. Mario Aldonis says, "I got 600 people into my collab, my private community group overnight in 24 hours or 48 hours, whatever the time frame was for 600 plus people." And I had somebody reach out to me and say, "How did that happen? What do I do? How do I make that work?" And um, hello, sister-in-law. Hi, Marie. Um, um, and my response back was and is, this is a person with 10,000 followers on Facebook, 10,000 friends on Facebook. And when he makes an announcement and says he's doing a thing, I'm not even going to do I am going to do the math. When he makes an announcement and says to 10,000 people, 600 divide 10, I'm doing a thing, and all you have to do, my lead capture, my step 4, all you have to do is join my private community to get my thing. When he talks to 10,000 people and 600 engage, that's a 6% engagement rate. If you have a 100-person audience and you make that same offer and you get a 6% engagement rate, that's 6 people. It's not that what he achieved was so incredible in the moment. It's that he had laid the foundation, and the 10,000 people that are following him are his fan club. He has authority in that space that when he makes an offer like that, people are willing to raise their hand and jump into his step 4 of it. And I'll jump over here. So when he makes an offer to that 10,000 person audience that is simple, it has very low barrier to entry to them. 6% raising their hand and saying, yes, capture my contact information isn't unreasonable. Guaranteed that was a no cost. The only cost to the person is opting into the private community. Guaranteed he has a lead nurture inside the community that turns into a paid upgrade at some point down the road. If you automate a lead capture or a lead nurture to the wrong audience or the wrong offer to that audience, because you don't have clarity on what the offer to the audience fit is, all you do is create marketing noise at scale. We talk about Hormozi's core 4: one-to-one cold, one-to-one warm, one-to-many cold, one-to-many warm. Spam can happen one-to-one warm. I think maybe this is a point that many people in our space don't understand. What I often say is the exact same message to the exact same person at the wrong time is spam. That message to that person at the right time is a lifeline. The lead nurture part is detecting the time when the offer is right in the relationship. When the person has gone from no like and trust and has the need. So they know, like, and trust you, and you now put the offer in front of them, now they're willing to jump into a sales process. All of the different ways of implementing the core four, one-to-one warm, one-to-one cold, one-to-many warm, one-to-many cold, and each one of those has multiple ways of doing it. Even one-to-many cold is running ads. Well, you can run ads on intent ads on Google or Bing or any other search place. You can run interruption ads in social media. You can run pay you can run direct mail. I have the direct mail stuff I have right now is greeting card kind of one-to-one warm, nurturing. Um, but you can run ads in a multitude of different ways, but if it's the wrong message to the wrong audience, it's just spending money. So here's why people skip the step. It's totally normal. Um, pardon me. It is totally normal to skip steps. I've done it. I still take mental shortcuts in my own head very regularly. It's it's just we know we need a result. Um, Especially when we have bills due at the end of the month. We need to close a sale. And so we want to rush to a result, and we'd rather get a no and wash our hands of the relationship and move on. Um, it makes sense. We're trying to get to a we're trying to generate cash flow, and and the only thing we have is a conversation with somebody that turns into an opportunity for them to ask us to give us something of value that to them is less than the cost that we're going to charge to get that item of value. And we get impatient. I just need traction. I just need cash flow. I just need some sales. Or there's this fall, and that impatience is normal. We all experience it. Then there's this false urgency of I'm falling behind. Um, it's the idea that we see, especially when people in social media are painting this glossy picture of how far along their world in their journey they are. And we get enamored by where they are. And we look at ourselves and we feel like we're still just trying to get training wheels off the bicycle. Um, and so we start comparing ourselves to them, and comparison becomes the thief of joy, and we lose the joy of working through the process. Well, thank you, Dee. Thank you. Thank you, Melissa. That was very kind. Um, God bless you too. Um, and the other thing is, we look at those people and they say, this is what I accomplished, and this is the script I used, or this is the funnel I used. And so we try to hack that funnel or mirror copy that script because we are borrowing their certainty. It succeeded, it worked for them. Maybe it'll work for me, but we haven't done our own analysis. This is where the 9-point marketing plan slows you down to not make the mistake of copying them just because it may in fact be the right solution. Once you're certain that it is, then once you have clarity, using this term that's on the slide, if you're borrowing someone else's messaging, it feels like motion, but really you're confused about your own message. You haven't come up with your own message, therefore you're just borrowing someone else's. When you're able to clarify, this is why that script works for my audience too, or this is the minor modification I'm going to make to that message because it will then resonate with my audience. Now you get progress. If you skip ahead in the plan, you don't move faster, you just move the costs downstream of in your process. You can skip the planning, the before stage. Actually, let's jump back. You can skip the befores. You can short circuit the befores by borrowing someone else's method. And what you will do is generate more wasted conversations in step 5 because people will have opted in when they don't yet know, like, and trust you. People will be inside your funnel, and now you have to turn that conversation into a whole new dialogue about who I am, who you are, what your situation is, what my situation is, how I help you. Um, you've moved the cost of niching your audience into your lead nurture step of the plan. Or even if you turn some of those into sales, because they're not in your actual niche, when you get down to the referral stage, even if they're willing to promote you to their friends and family and associates, their circle of friends and family and associates aren't actually who you need your offer promoted to. If you skip ahead in the plan, during the planning, you don't move faster, you simply move the cost downstream. Skipping steps does feel faster, but it is almost always more expensive. So, in conclusion, thank you for listening. Blue, Melissa, Marie, thank you all three. And I'm sure there's somebody else that's popped in or out at some point, and I didn't notice the indicator. Um, and for everyone who's listening in a replay, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this thought process. And I hope that it gives you a chance to slow down and think about why you're doing what you're doing so that you can go faster later because you're doing the right things at the right time for the right reasons. And you're so clear about why you're doing them that you can do them with confidence. There's a saying there's a saying, and in the US, it's attributed to an African proverb. I don't know. But it says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. You can just sprint, skip these steps, and you can go get a couple quick sales. If you want to go far, slowing down to think through these steps is going to help you build a sales system that's going to allow you to go far. So to recap, the 9-point marketing plan is a thinking framework, not a checklist. It exists to protect the sequence, not to give you something to manage. So it's not like it's like this other thing that you have to like pay attention to. It's a thing that helps you pay attention to something else. Second, most marketing problems don't start with bad messaging. They start before that when we skipped clarity around audience, value, and context. And we try to fix that issue later with scripts, funnels, automation, AI. Third, the reason this framework feels slow is because it's supposed to be slow. It's designed to slow you down give you space and time to think in those places where speed would be dangerous. And finally, when people skip steps, they don't actually move faster. They just move the cost downstream where it's both harder and more expensive to see it and fix it. And often we don't even know because we haven't done the thinking, we don't even know, we don't have the framework to look at ourselves and say, oh, the reason this conversation isn't happening the way I expect it to is because. So I'm going to make this, I'm going to actually jump out of my script. I'm going to make this personal for just a second. One of the things that I've changed in the transition from 2025 to 2026 is I realized that my target audience is GHLVAs, freelancers, people who call themselves automations and funnel experts. And I wasn't getting through to this audience because I was trying to shortcut the conversation with them by asking them self-reflective questions when they weren't in the frame of mind to hold up a mirror and answer so honestly a self-reflective question. By slowing myself down, having my conversations with my chat GPT to understand who my audience is and what message actually works for them, I'm saving myself a lot of time in step 5 because I was having conversations in step 5 that weren't going anywhere. I was experiencing this pain. One of the hardest things to accept, one of the hardest ideas to accept, especially in any environment that rewards speed, is clarity cannot be rushed. I come from a U.S. military background, and there's a saying in the U.S. military that is attributed to the special ops community. And in the special ops community, they say, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Slow down, get precise, you'll get to the outcome more quickly than if you rush around willy-nilly, invest a lot of energy, but most of that energy is wasted. Slow down, get smooth, get deliberate, get to the result more efficiently. The 9-point marketing plan isn't here to slow down your business. It's here to slow down your decisions about your business and only enough to keep you from paying for costs for bad decisions later. Slow your decision making down, make good decisions now so that you can go fast later. Most people don't skip these steps because they're lazy or crazy or careless. They skip the steps because they feel pressure, pressure to act, pressure to respond, pressure to scale, pressure to keep up with someone else's artificial timeline. And when combined with the pressure that comes like that, with the powerful tools that are available to us with funnels and automation and email and AI, the mistakes happen faster and louder to a bigger audience. That's why most marketing problems don't show up immediately. They show up weeks or months later as frustration, low response rates, fragile funnels, or systems that feel like a lot of work for very little return. So if you take away nothing else from today, remember this. The 9-point marketing plan is designed to slow you down where speed is dangerous. Because if you skip ahead in the plan, you don't move faster, you just move the costs downstream and expand them, multiply them. Most of the time, when marketing feels broken, it's not because the tools have failed, it's because the thought process, the thinking, the strategizing never happened in the first place. Thank you very much. Next Monday is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We're going to take a step back from thinking about Tactics. Today we were talking about strategy. Next week, we're going to take a really high level look at leadership, patience, and why long-term thinking matters. Even if you're a solo operator, especially when everything around us is pushing speeds, hacks, shortcuts, AI generated. For those of you who want to go deeper into the discussion and the application, we'll continue to work on those inside the GHL Business Launch community on Colab. If you just want to listen to the Monday trainings, we'll be back on MLK Day with a look at leadership as a solo operator. Until then, we'll see you. I hope this is helpful. I'm Keith Bashirs.